Why doesn't your minister, Minister Hajdu, have the professional courtesy to respond to members of Parliament who are duly elected to represent a number of Indigenous nations? Why do I have to plead and beg for a response? This is shameful, it is disgusting, and I hope you relay the message directly to her. How disappointed I am.
Hey gang, what's up? Just Aaron right here, Question Period Canada. We all recognize Larry Brock, the man on fire from the intro. Well, he is on fire always. During these committee investigations, his lawyer experience really shines through. He's got such a presence, demands answers, straight answers too. He's nobody's fool, and he's on the hunt for Patty Hajdu. This chick better get answering Brock's questions, responding to his letters, because it doesn't sound like he's too pleased with being ignored. Let's check out Larry Brock. He's a lot of fun to watch.
Chair, my sole question will be to Indigenous Services officials. I have one question. I am the member for Brant. I proudly represent 2 Indigenous nations, 6 nations of the Grand River, Mississaugas of the Credit. I trust at least someone on this panel has probably visited my riding from time to time. So I want to talk about an issue that has been plaguing my tenure as a parliamentarian, as well as my predecessor, Mr. Phil McColman. I wrote a letter to Minister Hajdu on December 21st, 2001. It read, "The Gawaweni School is a federally funded elementary and secondary school located on 6 nations of the Grand River Territory. For the past 30 years, the school has provided instruction to its students in the Mohawk and Cayuga language in grade 8, at which time English is introduced. There has been an application for funding in progress for several years for a new school to be built. The school is currently operating out of a privately owned lacrosse arena, and their need for a new building is urgent. The landlord has been extremely accommodating. However, the lease is subject to annual renewal. Therefore, the space is not secure and, most importantly, certainly not adequate for a school. The classrooms are cramped with no running water, and the majority do not have windows. The language instruction not only provides the students with an education, but also the foundation for their identity. No doubt you will agree that providing financial support for the construction of the school will also help to fulfill our collective commitment towards truth and reconciliation, most specifically the preservation and revitalization of Aboriginal languages and cultures. Minister, in short, the current facility is not acceptable and, more importantly, not safe for the students and staff. They have been without a proper school for over 30 years. It's been long enough. The school has the support of 6 Nations Council and a shovel-ready project which should be funded. I look forward to your reply." Well, I didn't get a reply. I had to follow up with Minister Hajdu on April 22nd, 2022, reminding her that my staff reached out to her office on March the 10th, 14th, and 28th with no response. This project is now just under $30 million to properly fund. When we were asking for federal funding, the cost was just over $10 million. Because of Justin Trudeau's inflationary policies, we have now almost tripled the cost. Justin Trudeau has spent close to $21 billion on consultants, but can't seem to find the money to fund this particular school. Today, I had the chair, Ruby Jacobs, crying to my constituency office saying, what does it take to finally get the Government of Canada to recognize the need to introduce this school, to have the funding there, to have the school learn in a proper environment? What are you going to tell my constituents? What are you going to tell the parents of the children? What are you going to tell the chair who is crying? When are we going to receive the funding?
So thank you for the question, and I am aware of the situation, and I will certainly follow up with my colleagues in education.
We've been waiting for 7 years for this government to write a check. That is not an appropriate answer. When are they going to receive funding? 3 years ago, actually 2.5 years ago, Minister Miller attended on site. We had We had the press there. We had all kinds of stakeholders there. We were thinking that Minister Miller was going to deliver that long-awaited check. All that Minister Miller had to say was, "I'm sorry, I don't have the best news for you. Be patient. We are working on it. There are other priorities in our department, but you will eventually receive the funding." That was almost 2.5 years ago. When will you write the check?
It's not my check to write, but I will follow up with the officials under whose program this fits. We do run schools at Six Nations. That is not the only school in at Six Nations.
Why doesn't your minister, this is to Ms. Wilson, why doesn't your minister, Minister Haidu, have the professional courtesy to respond to members of Parliament who are duly elected to represent a number of Indigenous nations? Why do I have to plead and beg for a response? This is shameful, it is disgusting, and I hope you relay the message directly to her, how disappointed I am in the way that she conducts her ministry. Thank you.
Okay.
I've been watching the politics now a lot for about 8 months, and I wouldn't say that there's anybody that you could compare Larry Brock to. The kingpin, he's a stud, demanding answers. Here's a look at him on the House of Commons floor doing the same thing. These liberals are trying to not give answers, but Larry has a presence that is hard to deny. Let's take a peek at Larry Brock on the House of Commons floor.
The honourable member from Brantford-Brant.
Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister is not worth the cost or corruption. In the past year, this government spent over $21 billion on outside consultants. Rather than helping struggling Canadians, he's focused on making Liberal insiders richer. It's no shock that the Liberal favoured GC Strategies, who pocketed $20 million for doing nothing on the Rise scam, was founded the same year that he took office. Will this Prime Minister commit to cutting all waste and corruption in the upcoming budget, or will he continue to get more Liberal insiders rich?
Hear, hear. The Minister of Public Services and Procurement, the President of the Treasury Board, myself as Minister responsible for the Border Services Agency have already taken steps to reduce reliance on outside consultants. Mr. Speaker, we've reviewed and changed the process for approving these kind of contracts. We'll continue to look at everything necessary to ensure that taxpayers' money is well spent, and those people that are responsible for these decisions know that they'll be held accountable in the case of misuse or abuse.
The honourable member from Brantford-Brant.
I hope the government holds itself accountable. The Arise scam merely scratches the surface of the rot and corruption in this NDP Liberal government. Their procurement system is seriously flawed and broken. For example, they paid KPMG, a consulting company, almost 700,000 taxpayer dollars to learn how to cut back on consultants. You can't make up this lunacy. They've learned nothing. The question is simple. In the budget next week, will we see a cut to all the corruption?
So gang, what do you think of Larry Brock? He seems to be pretty popular with the folks around here. I find him very engaging, wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of him at all. He's the real deal. After the next election, he could possibly be Deputy Prime Minister, Attorney General, Minister of Justice, something like this, because he's got a special quality that many of these MPs seem not to have, and he's just fun to watch, right? My name's Aaron. This is Question Period Canada. We have a blast learning about Canadian federal politics, watching it all the time. Come and hang out. We cover all the Question Period broadcasts. We do that live. Fun chat room, fun community. So come hang out. That's it. Get notified, like, subscribe, share it with somebody. That'd be great. Aaron, Question Period Canada, thank you for watching the video. I hope you like Larry Brock. Leave a note in the comments, and we'll check your next video. Have something healthy to eat. Try to stay warm. It's damp and cold in Nova Scotia today. Catch you next video.